I think this is a great move because that shows trust in Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is the future. I think Jared Goff proved he's the future. I think they have a ton of good young players. They had a fantastic draft. I think Campbell is the guy to lead this team to victory. I think this team is the team to beat in the NFC. They needed to add some secondary help. They did that in the draft in the first and second round. Sensational moves that they've made. I think they were, to me, top 3, top 4 in this year's draft when it came to their draft picks. Love it. I think they have one of the best young tight ends in football right now. Showed himself to be as sensational as he was as a second-round draft pick, where everybody said, you know what? We don't know what these tight ends are going to be. And I've said this. You don't draft a tight end in the first round. You draft them in the second round because they're more successful if you look back at all the tight ends that have been drafted. But I'm going to tell you this right now. How many quarterbacks were better than Jared Goff last year? How many of them? Honestly, maybe a handful. Maybe. I would think right now, at some point last year, I thought Jared Goff was the MVP of the league. Just like I thought Kirk Cousins was the MVP of the league before he tore his Achilles. I was so impressed with Jared Goff. And anybody that knows me on this show knows that I do not like Jared Goff. I don't. I never liked him as a first-round draft pick, as the number 1 pick from Cal. Didn't like it. I was more inclined to go with Carson Wentz. That's the truth. I loved Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz that everybody hates, apparently.
Whatever. I loved him.
Now he's on the Chiefs.
Hey, but again, he's been a journeyman, and it didn't work in India. It didn't work out in Indianapolis or the Eagles, and he's been bouncing around from one team to the other. And I understand. Maybe he's not a good team player. Maybe, obviously, players in the locker room are not big fans of his, and they love Jared Goff, and maybe that's something that says a lot about his personality and his stature as a player. I'm not going to say that Jared Goff doesn't deserve this money. I don't think he's worth $53 million per year, but that's the going rate for a star quarterback, as we see with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, as we just said, Joe Burrow. The league right now, when it comes to the quarterback or even the wide receiver, they're getting overpaid. I can't wait to see what Jefferson's going to get.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be record-breaking, 38, 40 million. That's why they couldn't bring back Kirk Cousins. And that's why Kirk obviously realized he didn't belong there. He belonged in Atlanta, where obviously his wife grew up. And with a young team, with a young coach, well, Raheem Morris, who I'm not a big fan of, from Hawkville.
Yeah, we'll see if that works.
I don't know if that's going to work. I think they should have. I do believe they should have hired Bill Belichick. That's just me. Even though he's been a hard ass in the locker room over the years and doesn't want to speak to the press. But I think the thought is, when you look at Jared Goff, his ability to make plays, to extend plays inside and out of the pocket is sensational. And the weapons that he has with St. Brown and all the wide receivers that he's had over the last 2 years have been fun to watch. And the development of this team, the offensive line, which I think is the best in football. In 2 years, those contracts, the $53 million a year, it's going to be $70 million. It's going to be $73 million that these quarterbacks are going to be making. So you just got a bargain for a guy that actually stays healthy for the majority of the season, and a guy that you're getting him on the cheap. I wish I made $53 million a year. I really do.
Caleb Williams.
I wish I made, I don't know, 50, not 50,000. I wish I was making 500,000 a year. That would be enough for me.